All right, it's 4 o'clock, so we're going to start the town board meeting for Monday, January 10th. And we are going to enter into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular individual. Can I get a motion to enter executive session?
Before you do that, can I do roll call?
Oh, yes, let's do the roll call. Yep, sorry, I didn't jump ahead of the regular meeting, so.
That's okay. Councilman Gary Davis.
Present.
Councilman Terry Fennelly.
Present.
Councilwoman Adeline Rudolph.
Totally present.
And Supervisor Simpson.
Present. So I guess since we did that, we should, we'll do the pledge at the next meeting, but
Yep.
Jean, were the meetings appropriately advertised?
Yes, they were.
Okay, excellent. So I'll hold off on the birthdays too, when we have all the full crowd in here, because we don't want to wait for that. So now can I get a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
I was gonna say.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so this to call the June 10th, June
July.
10th. Yeah, when January 10th, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if it were June? January 10th, the first mistake, probably the only mistake I'll make tonight, so hopefully you guys can all bear with me. Pete, don't take notes over there, okay? He's already been writing down everything. He's grading me tonight. Another supervisor's grading me how I do. I'd like to call the January 10th, 2022 meeting of the Canandaigua Town Board to order. And at this time, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You can all rise. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Jean, can you go ahead and call the roll?
I can. Councilman Gary Davis.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. There you go.
There we go.
Present.
Councilman Terry Fennelly.
Present.
Councilwoman Adeline Rudolph.
Present.
Supervisor Jared Simpson.
Present. Jean, was the meeting properly advertised?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We do have the written communications that will be circulating, and there is, looks like one communication in there as the start of the year, so not quite as many to look through, so that will be coming around to you. This takes us to the first privilege of the floor, and I do know that online Marion Cassie has asked to speak, so I get to be the timekeeper now, Marion, so 3 minutes for the comments that you have, and you can go ahead and start at any time.
Okay, it won't take that long. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I did note, sadly, in the agenda that Pam Post was going to be resigning. And I was wondering, well, I was hoping, I certainly hope that several of you, or at least one of you, will address how the reassessment is now going to be taking place, the required reassessment, and whether we're going to hire a new person or whether we're going to use the staff of share with another town, or whether we're going to use an outside service, or exactly how this reassessment is going to get done and how it's going to take place, and perhaps a timetable also. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. All right, does anybody else have any comment privilege of the floor? Oh,
For privilege of
the floor, yes. Okay.
Hi, Jared. Vince Goldbeck, and I was asking, respectfully requesting if we do privilege of the floor for 6 to 7 minutes, or would you prefer me break it up on the different privileges?
Why don't you, out of protocol, why don't you break it up if that's okay?
That's fine.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, so let me speak.
So yeah, you have your 3 now. Yeah.
I gotta find my breaking point here, and I'll be back for the next privilege.
Okay. All right, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Town Board. My name is Vincent Goldbeck, and I reside at 4280 Lake Hill Drive in Canandaigua. I want to first congratulate Jared and Adeline for the success, and all the Canandaigua residents look forward to working with you and the rest of the town board. I am here this evening to speak on a very important topic that can have an impact on our beloved community, as well as an impact on current and future town board members moving forward. I would like the 7 candidates that have or being interviewed to know that my remarks are not a reflection of your strengths or an opinion of their worthiness of being a town board member. This is a larger issue that reflects who represent us on the town board today. I know we all have our biases, but please try to listen with an open mind and heart. All 3 town board candidates campaigned to be transparent and listen to all the people in the town. Just recently this month, Jared and Adeline, you mentioned working with everyone in the town. And it was interesting, Adeline, that you were quoted in the Democrat and Chronicle. All of those things we're supposed to say, I really believe them personally. I hope that all the town board members truly say what you believe. Terry, this does bring back to mind discussion back on August the 17th of 2020, when there were some opposing viewpoints on a sensitive issue. I truly felt, Terry, that you were trying to make not only the best moral decision, but one that was right. You stated that you were struggling on voting based on your voters. I have to applaud the town attorney, Chris Nadler, when he gave you a non-biased piece of advice. He says, Terry, you don't vote based on proportionate support. You vote, your vote is to represent all people. Let me please remind everyone today, and those who are watching, who will be listening and reading about this in the future. There was an announcement by the town of Canandaigua for those interested in applying to be considered for an interim town board seat, and to please send an application, and the town board would be making the selection the first of the year to fill the seat until the local elections in November 2022. There were 18 applications submitted, 11 Republicans, 4 Democrats, 3 non-affiliated. For those who do not know, only 7, which were all Republicans, were selected by the town board in closed executive session. Remember in the past election, according to the Ontario County Board of Elections, one of the non-affiliated candidates who ran for town board, Ryan Stachuk,
You have 10 seconds.
received 43% of the ballot votes of the 2,900 ballots that were cast. It was 1,250 ballots. And I'll hopefully finish the next.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, Vince. All right, now that takes us to priority business. We do have representatives here from the town of Farmington to do a presentation. I threatened that they were going to go at the end, but we will give them the first slide of priority business. So go ahead.
Okay. All right, my name's Bill Davis. I'm with MRB Group. I'm actually so for people online, handout, Doug, I don't know if you're able to bring that up on the screen. I'm gonna use this a little bit as a crutch tonight to
Can I get another one? Thanks.
talk about what's called the Brickyard Road Tank Project, Brickyard Road Tank and Transmission Main Project. For the Consolidated Water District, we recently bid a project. It was, the whole project cost originally was estimated in 2019 at around $9 million. With the bids that we received, particularly for an elevated storage tank, the total project cost now is about $13 million. So considerably higher. We're here to discuss that with Canandaigua. If I can speak, Pete, on behalf of the town of Farmington, there's been a lot of work and preparation in regards to this project. I think the town board understands the circumstances and has taken the position that they want to move forward with the project. So we're here just to discuss it also with the town of Canandaigua board, being the joint water district. Both boards have to come to agreement and pass resolutions relative to the project. The first being tonight on the agenda, 202B resolution that sets a public hearing, which starts the process of identifying the project cost is higher than the $9 million originally projected And then ultimately will require a supplemental bond resolution in order to authorize the borrowing for 13 million as opposed to 9 million. So that being said, I'm intended to go pretty quickly back in the time a little bit if Doug and the town board want. We have done a lot of work on this. There has been a number of questions raised. So I'm gonna do that quickly and then I'll ask questions. And if we wanna get into details, we certainly can, Supervisor. I'll take your lead on that.
Okay.
So, the project need, this has been questioned a little bit just because it's been so long since it's been talked about, I think. Essentially, the tank that is existing, with the improvements made back in the early 2000s in the city of Canandaigua and surrounding areas, has been what we call locked out of the system, meaning the tank is there, it holds water, but it really doesn't support any water flow until such time that there's a fire flow or a water main break, and then the tank is active because the pressure drops in the system. This ultimately started around that time frame. There were studies started around the issues with the tank around 2005. The Department of Health has cited it as an issue way back in that era, mainly because the system not riding on a storage tank tends to drop in pressure when there's a high flow condition below 20 pounds, which is a health department standard. And then also, when the tank is not active, the water in the tank gets stagnant. It tends to lose its chlorine residual. Then when there is a fire flow, it can be released into the system. And the health department has concerns with that from a health hazard standpoint. So those are the project needs. It hasn't been talked about too much lately, but that's really what got us to this point to begin with. They have been patient. The Department of Health has been patient with both towns, knowing that we're working on a solution. That being said, jumping into the studies, like I said before, this started to be looked at around 2005. There's been numerous studies done on the tank. Many options looked at trying to avoid the expense of replacing the tank, including pumping systems, larger transmission mains from the city into the town, all of them concluding a recommendation to simply build an elevated storage tank higher than the tank that's existing there that has adequate water storage and also provide adequate fire supply. In 2015, the study was updated again. It was again updated in 2016, issued to the state in a grant application, and both towns received what's called an intermunicipal grant in the amount of 3.6 million towards the project. Since that time, we've been in the planning stages, and then in 2019, we started design. The town has, as I said before, already passed the 202B resolution, both Farmington and Canandaigua, for a $9 million project, with the understanding that the project benefits the system as a whole, and also to authorize the borrowing at that time. Since that time, we've been in design, long time for design of an elevated storage tank, but I will tell you that I think the Department of Health had plans for over 9 months. Am I right in saying that? We had quite a few obstacles, and but that was probably the biggest delay, I would say. So here we are today, post-COVID. We have very high bids. They were expected to be high, not quite this high. We did have conversations with tank manufacturers right before bid, and the numbers even came in higher than that. And I can briefly get into some of those details with the issues at hand. Steel prices are being identified as over 250% of normal pricing back in 2019. Concrete and steel also was an issue. We did a lot of interviews with all four manufacturers, tank manufacturers, and all the bidders to try to get an understanding of how this could bid so high. And all of them gave some feedback. Some other minor issues were the funding agencies, the requirements for MWBE subcontractors, minor women-owned businesses. As part of the funding that we do have, we have to meet those requirements. They felt that their subcontractor quotes were pretty high because of that. And there's some intricacies in the water main that goes back to the tank site. It's a very narrow access. There's some trees that we're trying to protect in that area as part of the project. So some of those things were identified as reasons for why the project bid so high, in addition to everything that we see around us as far as materials and labor being excessively high right now. So maybe I'll stop there. I just threw a lot of stuff at you guys. So is there any questions? I'll start so far. Is there any questions on the project itself, the need for the project? Anything anybody wants me to try to answer in that regard?
I think for the general public and people present and attending on Zoom, the big issue with this being the need to, and it was mentioned with fire flow, to pull with Pactiv and the other industries, and there's a large draw in some of those areas. And the necessity is to have a tank that can handle that in worst case scenario, which the current one does not.
Correct. Any questions in regards to some of the studies and the work, the options that have been done? I do have a couple things that I did want to address. I know there's some questions in regards to alternative locations, and I can address that quickly as well with the map. So I'll jump into that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. So this map that we brought, and Doug, I think I sent this to you digitally as well. I'll bring this up here just so maybe they can see it on video, and I can point a little bit, but for the board members, Terry, can you see it?
I have.
Doug sent it.
Okay, good. Well, I'm gonna point a little bit here for the sake of you guys, but basically, this is the map of the system. Town of Farmington is here, town of Canandaigua is here, city of Canandaigua is here. Water supply from the city is down below this map. Okay, in essence, all this water is transmitted through some large transmission mains on this side, on what I'll call the west side, to Farmington through some large transmission mains, and the Brickyard Road storage tank is right here, basically in the middle of the city and some denser areas in the town of Farmington. Pactiv, who is key in this, as well as some other industries, fire flow. Pactiv is the largest drawer of fire flow in the system, so we use them as a worst case scenario. They're conveniently located also in between the city and the town of Farmington. And the tank sits right here. So it's in a key location as it stands right now, relative to where a lot of the water demand is. In Farmington, a lot of the water demand from Pactiv and from the supply where we need to transmit that water to where it's needed. One of the questions did come up. I told you all the alternatives that we've looked at as far as pumping, trying to avoid the expense of the tank. The other day there was a few meetings, some conversations in regards to alternative sites. I just did want to point out, because I think it was a good thing that was brought up, is there a place that we could site the tank where it doesn't have to be so high and potentially reduce the cost? And these two other sites in the district that we're in right now are about the same elevation as the tank site itself. There's no other sites in our area that is higher than where we are at today. So whoever sited the tank in that location to begin with did a great job. It's really where it needs to be as far as location based on water demand and also elevation. If you found another site that was significantly higher than this by 50, 60, 70 feet, it may be worth looking at. But again, like we talked about before, we would then have to transmit water to that location and then down. So I think that answers a question that came up the other day. So I wanted to point that out. The tank itself, there is a slight rendering that we did. It's pretty generic, but this is really what the tank is intended to look like. It's a composite, what we call a composite tank. It has an open shaft of concrete, and then the steel tank sits on top. So much more elaborate than a regular is standpipe that most people are used to seeing. And that really is because with the tank height being down here, being locked out of the system, it's really not doing anything. We've got to take that water and we've got to store it in a higher location, both so that it gives the pressure that the system needs and is on the pressure gradient that the system operates right now, and then also to provide that pressure and fire flow, when it's necessary. So, all right, is that 3 minutes? Sure.
No, you have more than that. Except for Greg.
Is there any questions?
Is there water in the pedestal part, no?
No.
Just the tank?
It's just an open shaft, and so it does lead me at the end of the outline that I did. We have estimated the project now at 13 million. That does include about almost $1 million in contingency. There is a little buffer there. And inside the shaft, we did design a conditioned space, so that it could be usable. You could park the flusher truck in there if we wanted to, store parts, different things in there. There is some things we probably could value engineer back out if we wanted to reduce some costs, but the shaft is one thing. We did do a conditioned space in there if we decide we want to save some money on the project. There are some things that we can work on to get it down, and when I say that, they'll realize that we're talking in the realm of hundreds of thousands of dollars, not $1 million. Potentially could value engineer maybe $500,000 or more out of the project. And we can talk about that, as we go forward. The critical thing right now, quite honestly, is timing. We have bids. We're pretty comfortable with all the bidders. Caldwell, who is the low bidder on the tank, is a very reputable, well-known tank manufacturer. We're very comfortable with them. They're only going to hold their bid price for so long. It's unfortunate that it's such a critical and big decision to be made so quickly, but a lot of cases in these situations, that's how it works. If we wait too long, the bidders may say they just can't potentially hold their pricing, and then we got to start over again. So that's why we're here today.
So I have a couple
Okay,
questions
yep,
if I
go
may. The first one is just pretty simple. How close is this to the airport? And it's not a concern at all with airport regulations?
That was a regulatory approval, and I wouldn't say that it was a concern, but there are things that we do have to do to the tank in order to be in that area. Because of the height of the tank, we have specific lighting that we have to have on top. It has been sent to the airport. There's a whole process of approval that we've gone through, and we've been approved by them to build the tank under the conditions that, we have special lighting and so on and so forth, so.
FAA did give us a permit to construct the tank.
Okay. And my second question is just, obviously I'm really concerned about the impact on taxpayers of what essentially is almost, $4 or $5 million higher than what was anticipated for the project. I'm just wondering if you can explain a little bit further why, and this could just simply have to do with me not being on the town board at the time, but why was something not done earlier in 2019? Why has this taken so long since the initial
To bid the project?
bids came in?
Yeah, so in 2019, we were authorized to start design. The design takes a long time. There's also a transmission main with this. And it's a pretty intricate design because we have a number of pressure zones. We would expect the design typically to be about a year. In this case, because of DOH approval, it took us a long time because we did have a number of other approvals as well, including the airport. It's a little more lengthy design, but honestly, it did get held up with agencies for quite some time. So, I would say that if we could have been a little quicker, we might have avoided COVID, but that's really not the case. Even if we had, even if we got things right back from the Department of Health, I don't think we could have executed quick enough to get in front of COVID, which we didn't even really know was coming, to be honest with you. So that's probably, not the best answer, but that's the truth at this point. It took a long time to get approval and get to this point.
And then just my last one would be, does it appear that the prices for the materials that, I mean, I think that's the large portion of the increase where it's gone from 4.9 to 7.9 million. Does it appear at this point that the materials, the steel and the concrete are going to continue on that upward trajectory at this point?
That's a great question. And there was some other correspondences that we have sent since we took bids to the town of Farmington. I did forward them to Doug. So our initial reaction when we took bids was that, we're gonna rebid this, because we just were really shocked about the pricing. So we immediately did a lot of research and a lot of homework on, what are the risks if we do rebid it, and how likely is it that the numbers that we have are good numbers and not going to, or will they increase in the future, or will we do better in the future? So we had about 8 or 10 other projects in the area that we looked at around this time frame within the past year, I'll say, that show that the costs of the materials in this type of tank construction are not out of the realm that our bids came. In 2019, they match our budget numbers pretty well, and in 2021, they match the numbers that we received at bid time. So that tells us that our bidders are not giving us some number that's too high and we should be concerned about that they're trying to gouge us or something like that. Now, projecting ahead, whether or not we wait another year and rebid the project and get better numbers, the feedback that we've gotten, and it's speculative at this point in time. But most information and feedback that we've gotten is that pricing is probably not likely to go down considerably. And that it may even continue to go up for the short term. We've got feedback from a couple of the manufacturers that steel again was gonna rise on January 1. How much faith do you put in that? It's really just, you're guessing at this point. But I can tell you that I don't see, we deal with this every day with pipe prices and so on and so forth, and so does Jim. And so does Farmington, and there's not much indication that it's going down. In fact, piping is getting even more difficult to get. The 16-inch pipe that we have on the job, I think the lead time on it, even if we started today, is 9 months, I think, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a difficult time.
The best way to put it, Adeline, is we're not economists, but
Yeah.
the indexing shows us that pricing's not going down anytime soon.
Yeah, so,
It's trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
and honestly, like I said, our initial reaction was, oh my God, we're just gonna take a step back and rebid it, maybe take the condition space out, maybe tweak a couple of things, and honestly, it's not something we foresee now after doing some of the research and stuff that we've done. We see getting better in the next year, And like I said, Department of Health so far has been patient. We've done a lot of work in preparation, a lot of studies and work have been put into getting us to this point. So that's also an investment that's been made so far, and we have, some grant money sitting on the table. I'm not trying to persuade any decisions tonight, but it's us all stuff to consider when deciding what to do.
Thank you.
We will be back,
Right,
at your next meeting.
right, we will be, there's a motion tonight to set a public hearing to discuss this more in depth before any decision is made. So at the January 31st meeting, the intention is that we do have a resolution to set the date of the public hearing for that.
At that meeting, will you have maybe a 5-year, 10-year projection of what water costs are gonna be?
We're gonna work with
To
Doug
the
and my,
individual?
yes, we're gonna work with Doug and my principal counselor.
Okay, now we'll have all costs in, everything that you expect to see over that period of time that might influence that cost.
Right.
Other thing I was wondering is, the IMG grant's still good?
Yes.
Is there a time limit on it though, where it has to be used, or?
There is, and we may need an extension on that. I gotta look into that a little bit, but it's still, I think still anticipated to be
Yeah,
done.
I think it's 5 years on the IMD and the Weir grant. It's the same as your grant.
Okay.
So they got, I think the award was at the same time that we got
Okay.
the grant for Canandaigua. We had the IG for Burns and Canada,
I
so.
think it still fits in our construction window, but
Right.
it.
Because
It's
the
run up
actual,
against it though.
the actual construction would be, next
A
year,
year or more.
probably into 24 before it'd be
Yeah.
operational.
Yeah, because of that lead time, I mean, both with steel and concrete and the pipe. I mean, we could award, you know, as in the next month or two, they won't start construction until towards probably the second, you know, 2/3 through this year or 3/4 through this year by the time they have materials, so,
Summer, fall.
yeah. So that service will be pushed out a little bit based on your borrowing.
Any other questions? Gary, do you have any questions?
No, other than to say that, it's our obligation to make sure that the taxpayers in that area, the users are, getting services they need. And it looks like we really don't have much for options on making any changes.
I would agree. It's
Yeah.
a tough time. And not even lumber prices hold for a week, on
Our
that.
town board meeting is tomorrow night, so we'll have the discussion there too.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for your presentation, and we will look forward to seeing you back next month for the public hearing, I'm assuming, and then any questions that might come out of that.
Yep.
All right,
I
okay.
have a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
on that one, Doug.
Let's bring it up to the 21st century a
Bring it
little
up a
bit.
notch?
Yeah. All right,
Thank you very much.
you bet,
Thank
thank you. All right, that takes us to, town supervisor appointments. So the first one, I'm assuming Leaf is gonna continue, for now as, keep going as historian. I'm gonna hold off on historian, also deputy supervisor until we have a full board. But I would, number two, I am appointing Doug Finch to be the budget officer for the town of Canandaigua for the year of 2022. And now for town clerk appointments, Jean?
Yes, I appointed Lisa Record as deputy town clerk and deputy register of vital statistics, and Rebecca Doyle as deputy town clerk.
Okay, Jim?
And for deputy highway superintendent, I'll be appointing Christopher Litz.
All right, thank you. All right, we have no continued public hearings. We do have a new public hearing at this time. And this is a public hearing on the proposed law to rescind local law number 6 of 2021 that allowed the tax cap to be overridden for the 2022 budget. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So move.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of opening the public hearing?
Aye.
Aye. All right, at this time, the public hearing is open. Are there any comments or questions from anybody in the audience or online? Is any questions online? All right, seeing no hands or seeing no comments, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries and the public hearing is now closed. Reports of town officials and department heads, highway and water.
No report at this meeting.
All right, thank you, Jim. Assessor, Pam, I think I see you in virtual hand.
Submitted my report. I don't have any further comments except to say this is going to be my last meeting with you all. And so I wanted to say thank you very much for the support you've shown in me. And I have definitely enjoyed my time here and I will miss you all.
All right, and I can speak for everybody on the board, thanking you for your time and effort that you've put into working in multiple roles in the assessor's office, and we wish you well in your future endeavors, and we hate to see you go.
Thank you.
All right, historian Leaf.
I'm gonna bother with later. So I just want a quick update on the cemeteries, because boy, that's what seems to be where I spend all my time. So Peter Ellison with Board of Info Public was contracted to do some repair at Hun Cemetery and restore some of our really ancient headstones that are in the 200-year-old kind of age range. And that's complete. And Peter and I went out and surveyed the Sand Hill Cemetery. And while we were there, you know, we just found some headstones that needed work, and they'll be kind of put into queue for 2022 when the weather breaks. But we also noticed that we have a hedgerow that separates us from the neighbor to the west of the Sand Hill Cemetery. And there are some very large locust trees that are very dead and want to come down. And of course, there's going to be, you know, some liability issue if those trees go the wrong way. So I'm going to work with and bring that to the attention of Lindsay Furry. We've talked really briefly about it, but I'm going to work with Lindsay on that, and we'll I'll get back to the board with an update on that, or Lindsay will. And if Lindsay's here, I'm sure that we can. Didn't mean to throw her under the bus, but we also had replaced the American flag. So we do have members of the public who pay very close attention to whether the national colors are being flown properly in a number of our public places. So Sand Hill Cemetery's flag will be replaced. I think that's it. I hope some of you saw the article that was in the paper recently. I enjoy sharing those little stories about candidate was passed. That is all I have, Mr. Supervisor.
All right, thank you very much. All right, Town Clerk, Jean?
I don't have a report, thank you.
Okay. Planner, I don't know if Shauna not able, okay. I don't see Lindsay or Parks. Town Manager?
Just a couple things real quick. Let you know, we've been chosen as a finalist in a national site selection for a project that you've heard me reference before. It's called Project Kent. This is a industrial related manufacturing operation to go generally along in the uptown area, I'll say. They're saying at least 200 jobs. I'll update you as much as I can on that as we continue to go, but some interesting news that we were selected as a finalist in that as they continue to look at those site selections. That's a pretty large project looking at our town. We've also just recently, I want to make you aware, some of you are aware of this, Parkside Drive, when it was originally constructed, there's still some languishing legal aspects associated with the dedication of Parkside Drive that have been for a number of years. The landowner associated with Parkside Drive and the last remaining property that he has along that, looks like we've got a new development project relating to an affordable housing project that's moving forward with that. There's a developer involved in that now, so I anticipate, and I was having a conversation this week with our town attorney, I anticipate both of those matters moving forward kind of in a parallel track. Want to update you, we do not yet have the fourth quarter sales tax numbers yet for 2021. We usually will get those middle of January, and then we'll have that number for you essentially by the end of January. When we have our January 31st meeting, we close out the meeting. One of the things that I am looking for you guys from, and we can discuss this more at the end of the meeting and under other board business, be thinking about this, is I need some direction from you because it looks like we're going to have a surplus of revenue coming in, great problem to have, for 21, essentially somewhere in the neighborhood of the sales tax that we are anticipating to receive. That'll be generally the surplus into the general fund. I would anticipate that number probably between $500,000 and $750,000. In addition, that will significantly put our general fund, and also we're still working on expenses. And again, that's why we do this meeting on January 31st to finalize numbers. But at this point, I'm anticipating significantly more funds in our general fund and our highway fund than what our fund balance is. So our fund balance policy, I should say. So we need to be thinking about where you may wish to allocate those funds to certain reserves or projects. So last thing, I'll ask under other board business, so we're not delaying this right now. I do need some direction from the town board this evening relative to a chargeback and a request that came in for an erroneous charge relative to that, but we'll talk about that under other board business at the end of the meeting.
Okay, now do we have a time frame for the Project Kent? Do we know?
I do have timelines. They're anticipating decision essentially by May in terms of which site is going to be selected. within closing taking place, they're hoping by essentially fall, with approvals is by August of '23, and they're hoping to have the employees on the ground and in operation by August of '25.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor, well, my second mistake of the night, I neglected to read off the birthdays and wish everyone a happy birthday, so I'll take care of that now. And these are the birthdays for the month of January up until our next meeting. Ryan Wilkes, January 12th. Chuck Euler is January 20th. Justin Damon, January 25th. Judge Jones, February 3rd, and Brecken Allgood, February 10th. So I'd like to wish all of those employees and Judge Jones a happy birthday and hope that it treats them well. Supervisor, Deputy Supervisor reports, financial reports are in the agenda. As far as the revenue and the overtime reports are in there. All right, reports of committees, boards, and commissions. Do we have anything for finance? I know that we had one over the agenda, nothing at this time. Planning and Public Works, Chairman Finley.
No, nothing since the last time. We're meeting this Friday, so.
Okay, Ordinance, Chairman Davis.
Nothing at this time.
All right, Planning Board, I do not see Chairman Euler. He is there.
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. ZBA is Chairman Robinson. I do not see him in there. ECB, Adeline, do you have anything to
Nothing
share for the
further. We
ECB?
did meet earlier this week and discussed a few properties that's available on the town website.
Adeline is taking over the facilitating of the ECB. So we had that transition this month. CIC? No. Parks and Rec, I think I see Chairman right there. Mark is here. You are unmuted.
Thank you. We have not met since our early December meeting, but looking forward to 2022. We do have hopefully the transfer of Ononda Park, which I think is going to be a big thing, is when the state transfers Ononda Park over to Canandaigua. So something to look forward to in 2022. Sticking with Ononda, also MRB is working on the upland plan. So we think that that's going to be a kind of a big focus for Parks and Rec into 2022 is the improvements in do with the uplands at Ononda. Also, the Auburn Trail, working with two different groups, are working on the plans for the Auburn Trail to connect from Outhouse Park around to the work that's done with the town of Farmington. So looking forward to working on that into 2022. And of course, we can't leave out the finalizing of the plans at the inclusive playground at Outhouse West. So I think that's going to be a big focus here, finishing that up and looking to have a ribbon cutting there early in the spring. And I know that Lindsay's working, and I know Doug has had a meeting with the city of Canandaigua to look forward to the recreation programming for the summer for 2022. So that's kind of our focus headed into 2022. And thanks to Adeline, who was a member of the committee and is now moved down. So thank you. We're looking forward to 2022.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Special Events Committee.
Yeah.
All right, Oksana.
I did that.
Okay, yeah, I see that she's unmuted. All
Does
right,
she have a phone number calling in?
well, if she has, all right, well, if she has anything, and if she sends a message, we can come back to that. Ag Committee, we do have Chairman DeCarlo with us. Anything from the Ag Committee?
Nothing to report right now. We're actually meeting this week.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, that takes us to the second privilege of the floor. Mr. Golbeck?
Thank you, sir.
Your time has arrived.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
We'll continue.
And I tell you what, so you don't have to split this up over 3, I'll give you 4 minutes this time, okay? Sound like a plan?
Thank you, Supervisor. Let me just remind the town board again, is that 43% of the ballots, 43% of the voters did cast one vote for a non-affiliated voter. A Republican, it wasn't a Democrat. So I just wanted to make sure you keep that in mind. In fact, the town board has two resolutions tonight recognizing Terrence Robinson and Ryan Staychuk for their many years of service that made this town what it is today, as well as several others. I point out these two public servants as they both had the passion to run for town office. Terrence was selected for an interview and Ryan was not. Also, another former non-affiliate voter, Kevin Reynolds, who served, as you all know, who served on numerous town committees and served the town board well for 4 years, was not chosen for an interview. We all take pride in the number of hours that our residents commit to this town by serving on committee after committee and bringing well thought out solutions to the town board. But tonight, we have one sitting here. And I don't know if Karen knows this or not, but Karen Parkhurst has given her loyalty to this town board, to our town, and to other influential people, and yet is considered not worthy of a simple interview. I stand here also to represent those that cannot be here online or in person. And there are many who are concerned about the transparency and apparently possibly political maneuvering. Yes, making a choice is tough. We recognize that you have the power and authority to make the decision, but we also challenge you to consider what's the right thing to do. This is not a Republican or Democratic caucus decision. Yes, many of us have walked candidate petitions. And again, yes, 43% of those that submitted ballots to vote did cast one vote for Ryan. But please consider making the morally right decision. I would like to make a sincere suggestion to the town board members, because I suspect you've already heard from several back in December. Please hear everybody. And probably will be hearing more within the next several weeks that do not truly feel like they are being heard, that several current town board members have suggested. You have all stated many times, please let you know of any concerns or ways to make this town better. Therefore, be prepared to answer all of those in the town that are concerned with your current process of selecting an interim town board member. Some questions could be prepared for. Why were only 7 Republicans selected for the interview process? And do you feel this is truly fair? How did you consider a resolution for a non-affiliated resident who worked tirelessly for several years when they're not worthy for an interview? How do you feel about those residents who give their heart and soul, doing the best they can do to bring non-biased viewpoints to the community? You're told you're not getting an interview? Why didn't you interview all 18 candidates? You guys sacrifice a lot, you really do. And I commend those who run for town board. But could you not sacrifice just a little bit more time and interview all of them? I'm sure there'll be many others questions that you'll be faced with. We respectfully request that the town board reopens the interview process. You never know. One of those that you did not consider may surprise you. Disagreements are inevitable, they're normal, and they're healthy part of relating to each other. Please, I encourage each of you to embrace this, that as you would your own family and friends. Thank you, respectfully.
All right, thank you very much, Vince.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we'll now move on to resolutions and motions. We have no continued resolutions. So the first motion of the year, resolution number 2022-001, the town board meeting schedule is outlined. And I was gonna block these, but now I'm gonna move on from those. Okay. I get a motion to approve?
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Sure.
Oh.
Can I ask?
Oh, sorry.
Just for the sake of the town board or the staff members that attend the meetings, Just want to verify whether or not the town board wants to hold that meeting on Valentine's
Oh,
night.
yes.
Or whether or not you would like.
Yeah,
to
I
meet.
think to keep the, for the morale of the ranks, I think we should move that. So let's discuss and then we'll make a motion to amend. Thank you for reminding me of that one. So that takes us to, we say Wednesday, the 16th?
Rather the third Monday is the holiday.
Right, because we can't, yeah, we can't do it then. All right. So can I get a motion to amend the resolution? So I'll make a motion to amend the resolution to Wednesday, February 16th. So, got a second? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of passing this resolution as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution carries. You have that noted? Yeah, let's not forget that change. All right, resolution 2022-002, the designation of the 2022 holidays. Can I get a motion?
Move.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Why do we have 12 holidays?
What?
Just wondering why we have 12 holidays.
What? I didn't hear.
Why do we have 12 holidays?
They're all federal holidays.
I think, yeah, I would agree.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Because they're all federal holidays, that's why we have them.
They are, and if we follow the federal holiday schedule. Yeah, because I know Juneteenth is now new and that's being
Yeah,
observed on
that's-
Monday.
If I could,
Yes.
the one that's not a federal holiday, as far as I know anyway, on there, is the day after Thanksgiving, and the employees traded a floating holiday for the day after Thanksgiving a couple of years ago.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right, resolution carries. Resolution number 2022-003, designation of office depository. Can I get a motion?
Moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-004, designation of the official newspaper and radio station. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, that resolution carries. Resolution 2022-005, payment of the bills following the town board audit. Megan?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, resolution carries. 2022-006, payment of the bills prior to the audit. Can I get a motion for this one?
Moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-007, establishment of petty cash accounts. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-008, bid purchases. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries.
You want to block them or?
Yeah, let's block resolutions 9 through 12. All right, so can I get a motion to block numbers 9 through 12?
Move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. So resolution 2022, 9 through 12. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, 9 through 12, those motions carry. Resolution 2022-13, Canandaigua Town Board appointments. Can I get a motion?
Move.
There is,
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
yeah, one quick discussion on that. I'm still listed on the Economic Development Committee. I think we probably need to take me off of that. My understanding, I can't be on the committees and the town board at the same
Okay.
time.
So strike Adeline, remove Adeline from the economic development. Okay. Yes, there are also, so we have a blank for our finance committee chair. And we also have a, I believe, our ZBA chair. We have several open positions, but we also have the chair of the zoning board of appeals, which we intend to fill those as quickly as possible. So if you know anybody who wants to fill those spots, let us know. Any other discussion on that? All right, so.
Well, if I could,
Yes.
so we will need a finance. We either need a chair or at least somebody to facilitate the meeting before your next town board meeting, and then the zoning board is tomorrow night. Need to appoint a chair tonight so that they can meet.
Good point. All right, I can, we can adjust the time, but I can facilitate the finance until we get that permanently filled, so we can just adjust the time on that meeting. And then, all right, any discussion on our zoning board of appeals chair since they do meet?
Who else do we have on the
To appoint to
ZBA?
that.
Who's available on the ZBA?
The current members, I believe, are Chip Saylor, Carl Saylor, who has been serving as the deputy chair for quite a few years. You've got Dave Emery, you've got John Casey, as currently serving as an alternate. You've got Bob Hilliard. John, who am I missing? Is that it? I think
Kelly
that's it.
Lavoy.
Kelly Lavoy, thank you.
So is Chip in town? Is he on, or is he available?
Was last week.
Okay, so what I would, so I think that would be the most likely if he's the, if he's the vice chair of that, to temporarily appoint him as the chair,
If that's the board's wish, and then we can
What
talk
was
to
that
him.
now?
Chip Saylor,
If he's willing.
if he's willing, he is since he is the deputy at this, vice chair at this point. It seems like the most logical thing to do, as long as he's willing, and do it on a temporary basis.
Is that the intent of temporary until we can figure out?
Until,
Everything out.
until pieces play through, unless he says, no, I'd really like to be the permanent chair. And then we can approach him on that.
Do we want to set a sunset for that day?
Let's,
I would wait.
pardon?
I would wait.
Wait,
See what happens.
yeah, let's wait and see. So let's just leave it, if he's willing to do it until the time comes, until we get somebody appointed to that position. All right, so we're gonna add, so the amendments to the resolution are temporary ZBA chairman of Chip Saylor and temporary finance committee chair as Jared Simpson. Any other discussion? All right, so now can I get a motion to approve the resolution as amended?
So move.
Second.
Any other discussion? All right,
I feel a little uncomfortable not having a specific timeline for when our temporary person, if they're okay with it, would stop being our temporary person. Like there'd at least be a date that we can readdress it from.
Town attorney here, I would like to echo what Adeline just said. Why don't you, chairman through January 31st, temporary chair through January 31st, 2022.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I think you could put all of that on that one line in the resolution.
All right, thank you, Chris. All right, any further discussion on that? Any other comments? All right, all in favor of the resolution as amended?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. All right, resolution 2022-14, assignment of certain responsibilities to the town manager. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-16, countersigning of check. This is 15? Oh, I skipped right down to the end. The other one was so long. 2022-15, designation of professional service providers. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So how did, I apologize, how does that
Okay.
work, Doug, when you're creating the contract agreements with them? Are you making the agreement and then bringing it to us and going over it, or how does that work?
So this resolution is for the designation specifically as that they are our service providers that we traditionally have used. There is a resolution specifically this evening for the town attorney to serve in that capacity and a contract associated with that attached to your agenda. The other ones, the bond counsel, BPD, bond counsel is traditionally who we have used for whenever we're doing a bond, whenever we're doing any type of public works projects and those types of things. So this, because you're designating them as professional service provider, allows us to move forward with them. The other two, MRB and USA Payroll, engineering services and payroll services respectively. We take them individually. USA Payroll, and well, actually both of them. We've bid those out from time to time in the past. The one about engineering is specific because that relates to also all of our wire lines, all of our public works projects, those types of things. The payroll services, we have not been able to find any payroll company that comes even remotely close to the price that we are given for the payroll services by USA Payroll. They are considerably more cost efficient, I would say, than most of the other services that we've looked at. And they currently do our payroll for us in terms of the we have electronic time and attendance reporting for all of our employees. They swipe in, swipe out. There's computer systems that track everybody's PTO. The department heads then approve that, and then the payroll services portion, Lindsay has to go in and make sure everything matches up. We submit that, and then they actually print the checks. They do our W-2s and those sort of things. So there's no quote unquote contract per se.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, resolution carries. Now on to 2022-16, the countersigning of
Hiding down
checks. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-17, the use of facsimile signature. Can I get a motion?
Moved.
Second.
All right, this one's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-18, approval and acknowledgement of certain town policies and procedures. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-19, the temporary assignment of justices in the 7th Judicial District. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved.
All right,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Resolution,
You can probably combine those guys. Block them.
let's block 20, 21, 22, and 23. So can I get a motion to block resolutions 2022, 20, 21, 22, and 23?
So moved.
Or seconded, whatever you
All right,
want,
it's been
Steve.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, resolutions carry. All right, resolution 2022-24, the contract approval for the town board, planning board, and zoning board of appeals attorney. All right. It's been moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-25, 25, approval and authorization for the 284 agreement for the expenditure of 2022 highway budget expenditures. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just wanted to confirm, like I did before the meeting with Jim, that we're planning on bike lanes on both sides of Candigo Farmington Town Line Road in that construction.
They're already in.
Okay, great.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-26, the agreement for dog control services for 2022. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-27, the authorization for the town manager to execute intermunicipal agreement with Ontario County for law enforcement services.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Sure, if I could. Terry pointed out to me that in the appendix, the agreement from the county, that they did not list the correct municipality, so we'll
Thanks for
have to
catching
fix
that.
before we.
I tried to say it was all town of Farmington, so you just send that bill to Pete.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Trade off for the wall.
That'll cut down the costs.
Yeah, so thanks for catching that. So we're not paying for Farmington's work, Jerry. Thank you for noticing that. Any other discussion on that? All right, we don't need to amend the attachment, correct? Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-28, the acknowledging Terrence Robinson for his years of service to the town of Canandaigua Zoning Board of Appeals.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, I would like to thank Terrence for his time. I never had to go in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but I know they do a lot of work and they do a lot of research in the project and the projects that they have, and appreciate him for his time. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-29, acknowledging Pam Post for her years of service to the town of Canandaigua.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Did we want to address the comment from earlier?
We'll have to do that later.
Okay.
We'll just do that later. But I would like again to thank Pam from the whole board for her years of service to the town of Canandaigua. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-30, the authorization for the town manager to execute intermunicipal agreement with Ontario County for court security services.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-31, the acceptance of the monthly financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-032, acknowledgement and authorization of budget transfers by town manager.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Resolution 2022-033, acknowledgement and approval of the Environmental Conservation Board's 2022 goals.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-034, the adoption of a local law to rescind local law number 6 of 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I believe that's local law number 1.
Correct.
Resolution 2022-035, the acknowledging Ryan Stachek for his years of service to the town of Canandaigua Planning Board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I too would like to thank Ryan for his time and service to the board. and the enthusiasm that he put forward, and the time that he spent, serving the community in that capacity. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. 2022-036, the appointment of the Town of Canandaigua representative to the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Council.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That resolution carries. Resolution 2022-037, the appointment of Rebecca Doyle to full-time deputy town clerk.
So moved.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-038, establishing the 2022 employee wage rates and payment.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Resolution 2022-039, preventative maintenance for records management vault.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Resolution number 2022-040, the authorization for the town assessor to require a renewal application for 476 and 459C as needed.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, resolution carries. All right, is this numbering off? No, not yet, not yet.
They're coming up.
Resolution 2022-041, scheduling a public hearing to consider a revised cost estimate for improvements to the Canandaigua Farmington Water District.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Well,
All right, we have-
whatever it is.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. All right, and I'd like to block 42 through 46. 42 through 40. Oh, actually, let's block 40. And this is really small. 42, let's block 42 through 44, and then we can take the next ones after that. Can I get a motion to block 42, 43, and 44?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolutions 42, 43, and 44 carry. Resolution number
Do you have to vote
2020.
on carry? We just voted to block them. We didn't vote to carry.
All right, all in favor of block resolutions 42, 43, and 44?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. All right, resolution 2022-45, soil erosion and sediment control surety for 3365 State Route 364. I'm gonna move to table this one indefinitely.
Yes. Second.
All right, do we have to vote on the tabling indefinitely? I think we do. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution is tabled. Resolution 2022-46, soil erosion sediment control surety for 4210 County Road 16.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution carries. Approval of town board meeting minutes from December 20th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Payment of the bills. Jean, if you can go ahead and read those for us.
Certainly. Special abstract dated December 16th, 2021, totaling $477,386. General fund of $3,000, capital projects of $471,886, water districts of $2,500. Medical abstract dated January 3rd, 2022, totaling $78,690.29. General fund of $38,742.52, highway fund of $32,762.45, and water districts of $7,185.32. Town board abstract dated January 10th totaling $258,941.55. General fund of $184,371.41. Highway fund of $64,843.60, and water districts of $9,726.54.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh, can I get a motion to approve the bills? Yeah, I kind of have to approve those.
Second.
And it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I know we're set up here differently and stuff, but the bills, Terry's got the bills down there for the town board
They never
members that
start
are
down
here
there.
to sign. So the abstract,
The
covers
abstract.
like 3 abstracts.
Okay. All right, this takes us to our final privilege of the floor.
Jared, if I could
Next to
just real
last.
quick,
Yep,
I
go
know
ahead.
you have a privileged floor. I know there was a question earlier about the assessment. Let me just say this. I need to have an executive session with the town board relative to the employment history of a particular individual before I can report back a little bit more relative to that question that was asked. Perhaps we could report back out after the executive session this evening if individuals are interested in waiting.
Okay.
But I guess I could generally say, my knowledge, I don't know of any change to the timeline at this point, but I do need direction from the town board relative to the question that was asked.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for that. All right, privilege of the floor. Karen.
I'll talk very loud, I'm not going to.
Okay.
I want to remind everybody out there that you're wearing masks, and there's some old people here who are hard of hearing. And it is very difficult to hear some of you. So I'm going to just say blanket. Please talk louder and clearer so we can hear you and get the gist of everything going on.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that reminder.
Here, if I could too, just real quick on that. So we have been waiting, a lot of you know, we have this new audio video system here in the room that's kind of been a work in progress. I was just told today that the final components that we're waiting for will come in later this week, and they'll be installing that system later this week or early next week. What that will do is actually help the exact situation that you're discussing, because it will actually pick up, and then there'll be additional speakers in the room to help amplify the voices. So hopefully that fixes that problem, but thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the sound fields are great to spread that out there. But never be afraid if you can't hear us, just to say something, just yell at us right then. Say, just yell, just get us to speak
I
up.
really don't want that to happen.
Oh, I'm used to it. I get it all the time when I'm not here anyway, so I get used to it. All right, so thank you. We do not have any other business. Oh,
Sorry.
yes, we do have more business. See, keep throwing me curveballs.
I do.
Breaking me in.
Right off the get-go here. The first one is I did have a request for the waiver of a chargeback due to error and or administrative fees that were not reasonably necessary per Town Code Chapter 111-6. This relates to a chargeback that was charged for a project that went to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and subsequently after that, there was actually, I believe, or there's planned to be a change in the town code. The person who is requesting this waiver kept saying that, and I guess the zoning board had made a comment relative to whether or not why that was referred to the zoning board to begin with. I've been talking with some of the staff. Some of the costs that are believed to have been passed on through the chargeback process may have been greater than what would normally would be due to a lack of staff in the development office, at least in part at that point. And so what I'm kind of looking for is some general direction from the board. I don't know that I would say that 100% of the costs fall or should have fallen directly on the town, but I also don't know that 100% of the costs should have fallen on the residents. And so with your permission or direction, I'd just like to negotiate something in between to get this off all of our plates, if that's okay with you. Where the chargeback is
what are we looking at?
like $500.
I'm okay with that.
Just do it, get rid of it.
Yeah.
The second one is, that budget surplus that I mentioned earlier. I just need some general direction. In the past, we've put money into some of the different reserves. I don't need specifics. We'll bring you back something with a little bit more detail. We can certainly talk about this at a finance committee meeting in the meantime before January 31st. But please be thinking ahead to that January 31st meeting is the last chance that we have to close out the 21 books. And so this next 2 weeks is the opportunity for us to really identify taking some of that money that otherwise would roll into fund balance and appropriating it to a reserve so that we're not so far in excess of our fund balance policy. Is it the end of the world if we're that far in excess of our fund balance policy? Well, what I would say to you is it's not in keeping with the policy that you just adopted, but it's not the end of the world either, right? We have some projects, we have a variety of different things in the works that also we could make an argument that, like, for instance, I know we've been talking about a certain project and even the appropriation of ARPA money to going towards that, the federal money. Maybe there's some other things that we can look at in combination of different things as we look at those types of things, but please just be thinking ahead. You know, we've got, I know I get asked quite frequently how much money is in the open space reserve, because that's one that comes up quite regularly. And we had appropriated some money a couple of years ago. That now has over $1 million in the open space reserve fund. So our contingent tax reserve has about 400 plus or minus thousand. So these aren't finalized numbers yet because we still have final bills coming in for 21. We still have some monies that we have to move based on resolutions that you've approved. But just want you to be thinking a little bit more in depth about maybe some of those things. In the past, we've appropriated some money to solid waste management as we thought about possibly construction of a new transfer station, a whole variety of different things. So there's some work for us to do over the next couple of weeks.
I would add too that we have this, can this be appropriated to the project that we just talked about into any of the water project?
The Farmington one.
The Farmington, can any of that help offset?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
You could. Now keep in mind, that is a special district that not all
So then
of the
we're gifting
residents of the
we're
town of
gifting water
Canada
to a
would
special
get
district, so we get into hairy situations there.
Correct.
Yep.
But you could make that argument, we've made that argument in the past about the Cheshire Shore. You could make that argument about a variety of different things, so that's why you guys get to make that decision.
I would invite members of the community to share their thoughts on that process with us, via the info email. I'd love to hear what people's thoughts are on that.
So yeah, any thoughts that people might have on that would definitely be, would be interested in hearing those.
Was the culvert project in Seneca Point Road, was that?
Well, it's in the 24 agreement, but we were hoping to probably use the ARPA money for it, but wasn't sure if we could do that due to the potential restrictions on the funding. It was questionable. We could get done, and the other thing we gotta, I know you approved 1.3 million, but many of you probably don't understand when I say asphalt index is at 600, but when the asphalt index is at 600, our escalation price is high, so we're gonna be paying close to $70, if not more, a ton for asphalt. So that 1.3 million won't go very far, and we quite possibly won't do what is on that list.
You can always put
Because
it
you
in
just
the road.
can't, 1.3
It's
million
never
won't
ending thing.
go anywhere. It sounds like a lot, but it's not.
Okay, any other comments on that? All right, final privilege of the floor.
Right here.
Yes.
So, my name is Mary Kay Mann, so thank you very much.
bet.
I live on Chatham Lane. And I didn't have a plan to speak tonight, except that after hearing Vince and his eloquent presentation, I want to just share my thoughts, which are to say, I support what he is saying 100%. And he talked about the fact that in the next week or two, you may hear from people who ask for consideration from the board to consider people other than Republicans. So I am fast forwarding that from a week or two and letting you know tonight, here's one town resident who asks sincerely that you sincerely consider people other than the Republicans that you, I don't even know who they are, I just ask for a fuller, broader representation for all the people of the town like myself. And I thank you for that opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll now go into, we do have requests for executive session. Executive session requested by the town manager for the employment history of a particular individual, and that includes the town board, the town attorney, and the town manager. I would also like to add another one for another second executive session for the town board to also discuss the employment history of a particular individual with the town manager and the town attorney present.
Jared, there was in terms of the question relative to the assessment.
Yes.
So maybe we come back after the executive session and report out?
Yeah, so if anybody would like to, like for the question, Marion, to answer your question, there's a chance we'll be having some discussion and we could be able to answer your question after. I don't anticipate us spending a lot of time. We could come back after the first one and re-enter it. We could, what we'll do is we will go into the first executive session to discuss the employment requested by the town manager. We'll come out of executive session so we can answer the question. And then we'll go back into executive session requested by the town board. And we don't anticipate any action after that one. All right, so for those of you who would like to hear after the first one, the answer to the question that was brought up earlier, we should be able to, might be able to answer that one after the first executive session. All right, can I get a motion to enter executive session?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so motion to enter executive.
Call me later.
Quorum agreed, so.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so anybody else out there, Jean?
No, just me.
All right, so thanks everybody for staying back and to join us. We had some discussions about some of the one of the questions that was brought up. So now, Doug, if you want to explain kind of where we are going, what we've decided, and thoughts that are on the table.
Right. So generally speaking, we will be advertising for a position of assessor here essentially immediately. I did start recording this too. It's just so, oh, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. And it will be auto transcription. Sorry, we have to have that. Okay, let me restart again there for a second. So we will be advertising for a position of assessor immediately. I do believe that we will get some interest from some experienced candidates. We have the potential to work collaboratively with another municipality in this, in hiring of a joint assessor. And then moving forward with support for that assessor in both municipalities in the positions of real property appraisal aid, which I believe is a cost-efficient way to go about that. In terms of the reval for the current situation, I know there's been some questions about that. The current assessor has a lot of what I would call the behind-the-scenes legwork done, almost all of it essentially. The letters traditionally go out the end of February, beginning of March. At this point, I have every reason to believe that those letters will still make that target the end of February, beginning of March. And I feel relatively confident that we can actually have the new assessor in place by March, so that those who might want to meet informally with the assessor would be able to meet with the new assessor at that time period. Our current assessor has agreed to provide support through the transition services, so I think we can do this and keep everything moving forward in a very positive direction. Grievance day, that would remain the same, the end of May as always, with the Board of Assessment review, but then giving everybody the opportunity to meet with the assessor during the months essentially of say, by the time the letters go out and appointments are made and those types of things, essentially towards the latter half of March, April, beginning of May before that grievance day. So I think, I really do believe, yes, it's a little curveball for us, but with the support of the current assessor, with the support of a current staff member who's been working with that assessor, and I believe with the ability to share the service with another municipality that will be able to continue on the current timeline trajectory for the rebound.
All right, thank you very much.
Are there questions in chat, by the way? I don't know.
Those were some notes from earlier.
Okay.
Let me
Just
double check
wondering, making
those here. sure. There were a variety of comments earlier relative to this was one of the things. There was also a question about the presentation by Mr. Goldbeck, if there were any comments about his consideration. And that was it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. With that, and thank you, those of you who stayed and for staying to join back in with us. We'll now enter into our second executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular individual. And we do not anticipate taking any action after this executive session. So again, thank you very much for joining and attending the meeting tonight, and have a great night.
Okay.
All right.
Now motion.
So we've just entered regular session. It is 8:55. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, thanks, everybody.
Have a great night.